F1 0% AI is hands down the worst AI you can get in any game, so I thought let's give myself absolute pain of putting not just slicks on in heavy rain, but also stripping all downforce from the car, giving me practically zero grip, and to make it worse, I'm doing it around Monaco without the barriers. So as you can see, we're stripping all downforce from the car, putting zero downforce on the front and the rear, and we're gonna pit basically on the end of lap 1 to the slick tyres, to the soft tyres for this race. In torrential conditions, we're in heavy rain conditions. This isn't light rain, this is heavy rain, and it is around Hungary, so it's a tight and twisty track, lots of slope speed corners, lots of corners, so it's going to be very challenging. You're going to see, and you're going to see just how challenging it is just on the wet tyres. So as we come up to the sort of top 5 guys, we're going to try and go around the outside of a few of them, and this is 0% AI. These guys aren't fast, and you're going to see just it is a little bit challenging to get past them. I know it's only into the beginning of Sector 2 here, but we're going to try sneak it up the inside of George Russell, and we didn't manage to overtake him straight away. It took us a little bit of time, but you're going to see on these slick tyres, on the softs, just how challenging it is. I thought it was going to be somewhat easier, but I think especially around Hungary, this challenge is just extremely hard. And our aim is to win the race, and we do get very close. I'm not going to say if we do actually win the race, because it comes down to the final lap. It gets very close in the end. But as we come out of the pits, you can just see the amount of grip we have is basically zero. There's just nothing. We're going to try put the power down. The rear is just snapping out. Going into the corners, there's just no grip. We're losing the rear left, right and centre. It's just a real struggle. But coming to the end of lap 2, a lap later after we did a pit stop, we're coming on to the back markers at this point, and it was quite easy to overtake the back markers, I'd say, but the top guys were pretty quick, and we're not in the fastest car either, so I could have made this challenge a little bit easier. But coming down into turn 1, we're going to sort of misjudge our braking zone, go into the back of Bortoleto a little bit there. Fortunately, we didn't get damage, but we do manage to make our first move of the race up into P19 ahead of Gasly. Now we're on to the back of Bortoleto, up the hill, coming to the beginning of Sector 2. We're going to try and hang it around the outside. 0% AI do brake quite early, and you can see in the top right hand corner, we did manage to set a purple Sector 1, so we're still pretty quick compared to 0% AI. But we're on a very similar pace level. You can see into Sector 2, we didn't manage to set a purple sector, but coming down into this other heavy braking zone, we do manage to go up the inside of Hulkenberg to take P17. Then a lap later into turn 1, we got the inside of Doohan to take P16. So we're swift there, making the moves. We're just slowly overtaking people when we can. We're not sort of hanging around at the back. We're making our moves. And a lap later, we'll go up the inside of Behrman to take P15 from him. So we're not too bad so far, but we can see just on the minimap, the top guys are moving away, especially the top 5. They have quite a gap, so that is quite worrying, but we're battling with Lawson. We managed to take P14 there, and then on to the back of Alonso. This is the best part of the track where we make a lot of moves. We seem to make a lot of momentum through this uphill section as we do another purple Sector 1, which seems to be our best sector. Sector 2 and Sector 3 are very challenging. Just the sort of long sweeping corners are just so hard to do on this challenge. And we managed to make the move on Alonso, and now on Ocon to take P12. Only 6 laps into this race. Now we've got a gaggle of 3 cars here. Albon, Sainz, and I don't know who that is leading in front of them. I don't know if it is Stroll or it's Hadjar up into P9. So we're just behind the points paying positions. We're going to make a little bit of contact around the rear of Albon. We're going to try hang it around the outside of Albon onto the wet part of the track. All of the track's basically wet at this point, but even wetter part of the track, and we didn't manage to make it stick. But we're going to brake a little bit later, coming into the slow right-left chicane, and we do manage to make the move on Albon. But coming down into turn 1, we'll make a move on his teammate a lap later to take P10 in this race, and we're now on to the back of Hadjar. So we're making some good progress. We made the move on Hadjar there to take P9, and we're only 7 laps in the race. I do apologise if you do see a few stutters. My laptop isn't the best as we make a little bit of contact with Stroll there. Almost break our front wing. So yeah, my laptop isn't the best with recording, so that is the issue there. So I hope you don't mind a few little stutters. But we do manage to make the move on Stroll a lap later up into the notorious uphill section into the beginning of Sector 2 round here. But coming to the end of lap 13, we do manage to make our fastest lap of the race, our 1:47.7, which was pretty quick in the end. But we can see we're come all the way to lap 15. We've got about 20 laps left. Now, this race is 35 laps. In normal conditions, this would take me probably about 30 to 40 minutes, but because we're in these sort of terrible conditions on slick tyres with no downforce, it's going to take me over an hour to do this race, and it shouldn't take this long, but this challenge is just so long, it's so hard. We did manage to make the move on Hamilton there, go around the outside, but it's just such a long and hard challenge to do. But as we come to a lap later, Hamilton manages to get a little bit of momentum coming through the final corner, tries going for a move down into turn 1, but we did outbrake in there and keep a hold of P7. But coming up the hill, once again, we're onto the back of Sonoda. Can we outbrake and coming into this fast left-hander where Hamilton and Max made a little bit of contact in real life? Fortunately or unfortunately, Max didn't get a penalty for that. It's a bit controversial. I don't know if he actually made much of contact, but that was a little bit controversial. I feel like he should have got a penalty for that, but we'll concentrate on this race. But as we can see, a few of the guys have now decided to pit the top guys, and we do take the lead of the race for the first time. Now, we can see in the bottom right hand corner the tyre wear at this point. Now, I am going to decide to pit. I could have stayed out, but you can see the guys behind are only 5 seconds behind. They are making progress on us, and their rears are on 33%. So we've got just over half the distance to go, or just under half the distance to go. So the rears are going to be on about 60%, and I felt like the car was already challenging enough to control. I didn't want to be coping with 60% wear on tyres, especially on the rears. So I felt like it was just the safer option to do that. But as we come all the way to lap 30 now, it's taken us a hell of a long time to try and catch up to the top 5 guys at this point. It's taken us basically practically all the race, but coming into the sort of final 5 laps, we have managed to get onto the back of him. We can see they're all very close to each other. George Russell is still leading the race here. We're onto the back of Charles Leclerc with about 2 to 3 laps left. We're getting very close to him, but this is the crucial point. We do need to make the moves on them if we are going to win this race. We need to hope for a miracle. But coming through the final corner, we are going to get somewhat of a miracle here. George Russell is going to bin it into the final corner. He's going to give us position. Here it is, on board with George. He just seems to light up the rears. He just seems to get a bit trigger happy and goes straight into the wall. And we do manage to take a hold of P5, unfortunately for him, in front of our teammate. But as we almost lose the rear coming down into turn 1, we just sort of misjudged the braking zone once again. And we did manage to take P4 from Charles Leclerc, so we're making great progress with about 2 laps to go. We're just behind the front runners. We've got about 1 lap to go. We're coming through the final corner. We've got Charles Leclerc trying to make the move, coming down the start-finish straight like his teammate did, but we're going to have the straight line speed over him because we have basically 0 downforce on the car. We're going to have perfect straight line speed, but coming through the beginning of the Sector 2, we're onto the back of Norris. First position is just up the road, but as we know, the Sector 2 and Sector 3 is the most challenging part for us. There is 1 more heavy braking zone to go. I'm not sure if we can win the race, but I think we can definitely try and get P3 from Lando Norris. This is the braking zone, the last heavy braking zone. We're going to send it up the inside very, very late. Lando Norris, unfortunately, does give us the room, and we do manage to take a hold of P3. But coming through the final corner, unfortunately, it won't be enough to take the win. 0% AI is going to win us there, but I'm going to be very, very happy with taking a podium here.